Hello, good afternoon. My name is Prudence Marson, and I am your presenter today for Customer Service Representative Level 2. So today we're going to be looking at customer service, and I just want to run through with you some of our objectives for today. So today we're going to be looking at describing different types of customers and their needs. We're going to identify some techniques to deal with customer needs. We will identify the importance of policy in customer service, and we'll be looking at communication techniques in customer service. We will also be looking at skills that you need to promote the products and services of your organization. And we will identify techniques to deal with stress. So what is customer service? Customer service is the relationship that exists between the organization and its internal and external publics. So both those who are inside the organization and those who are outside will have some kind of relationship with the organization. Who is a customer? A customer is any person, business that purchases a commodity or service from an individual or organization. And we have both internal and external customers. So all the persons in your organization who work with the company, those persons are your internal customers. Other persons who are outside of your organization but do business with the company, those are your external customers. So your external customer can be an individual, it can be a company, it can also be a group. So who's your customer? We just looked at customers who are internal and customers who are external, but sometimes we have customers who have special needs and they also require special assistance. So there may be some customers who have issues with health. They may speak a foreign language or sign language. We classify our customers also according to age, some cultural needs, and sometimes some specific learning difficulties. We look at these different types of customers because for each of these special needs, we have to be careful that we take care of the customers according to those special needs. Sometimes the customers may also be assertive, angry, confused. They may know what they want, or sometimes they require a lot of assistance. So based on these classifications, we may need to give special attention to these customers. Why is customer service important? There are four main reasons. First, the customer comes in contact with staff, not the business. So you, the customer service rep, you are a representative of the business. And once the customer comes in contact with you, you immediately give an impression of the business. So staff gives the customer a first impression of the business, and it is important that that first impression is a good impression. Also, the employees or staff of an organization set the standards that the customers will expect throughout the business. So whatever impression you give of the customer, to the customer of your organization, they will assume that this is the standard that is kept by everybody who is a part of the organization. So it is very important that the first impression is the best impression because it is the most lasting. Now, we want to look at 8 basic needs of the customer. All customers will fall into two or more of these categories in terms of needs. The needs are the need to feel welcome, the need to be understood, the need to be recognized, the need to feel important, and the need to receive help or assistance, the need for timely service, the need for comfort, and the need to be appreciated. Now, all of these eight needs are needs that have to be taken seriously and needs that you, as a customer service representative, must be able to satisfy. Now, let us look again at these eight needs and one strategy for each that can help to give a lasting positive impression to our customers. So, customers have the need to feel important. What is a strategy? You listen to what the customers have to say. When the customer needs to be understood, you should acknowledge the customer's presence, even ask the customer his or her name and address the customer by their names. The need to be recognized, give the customer a warm and friendly smile. The need to receive help and assistance, maintain a nice, clean surrounding, and the need to feel important, call the customer by his name. The need to receive help and assistance. The customer expects you to give quick and efficient service. The need for comfort. Ensure that the surroundings of your physical location is nice and clean. The need to appreciation. Show the customer that you are appreciative by giving a warm, friendly smile. Now, what are some qualities that you should display when working as a customer service representative? We have a list of some here. You should always be punctual, be friendly, be self-confident in the way you speak to your customer. Also, ensure that you're well groomed. Be reliable. If you tell the customer that you're going to do something on his or her behalf, ensure that you do exactly what you promise. Be enthusiastic. Make sure that your facial expression, your body language is positive so that you give the customer a positive reception. Be inventive. If there's a problem, try your utmost to deal with these issues. Be attentive. Listen to the customer and ensure that you pay attention to what the customer wants you to do. Be orderly minded. Make sure that the way you deal with the customer's issues is done systematically. Be service oriented. Even if it takes some extra effort, go the extra mile so that you can assist your customer. Be observant. Sometimes the customer is not saying exactly what he means, but by observing the customer, you'll probably notice that you need to ask some additional questions to get more information so that you can give the customer better service. And also be loyal in the way you treat your customers. Some attributes that are required in the customer service role. They are courtesy, accessibility of the service provider, product knowledge. So if you are selling the customer a product or some service, ensure that you know exactly what you're talking about. Reliability, as I said before, telephone response. If you promise to call, please call. Information accuracy and attention to detail. So whatever information you pass on to your customer, please check and ensure that they're accurate before you pass them on. Invoice accuracy and invoice timeliness. Ensure that your records, whatever documents you pass on to your customer, they are accurate and they're done in a timely manner so that you don't waste the customer's time. Pride in doing the job right, caring about people, going the extra mile. These are all attributes that if you practice them, you'll be able to give quality customer service to your clients. How do you present a professional and knowledgeable image to your customers? You need to be proactive in your approach to meeting the customer needs. So think about what you can do for your customer before you provide the service, during the provision of the service, and even after you have made your sale? What are some things that you can do to assist the customer to ensure that you meet and even surpass his expectations? Establish team member relationship with customers to help them achieve their goals. So make sure you're able to talk to your customer about what the customer needs so that whatever services or products that are available in your organization, you match them with exactly what the customer wants. Demonstrate knowledge of the company's industry. Know the capabilities, tolerances, and limitations of your products and services. So please do not promise to your customer products and services that you do not have, and do not tell your customers that the products have features or benefits that you know that they do not have. Please be honest with the way you treat your customers. Demonstrate an understanding of the other departments in operation and their functions. Knowing your organization will help you to serve your customer better, so that when you need to do follow-up or you need to get information to assist your customer, you know exactly what department to deal with and who in your department you need to speak to. Do whatever is feasible to maintain goodwill with your customers. So ensure that you go the extra mile for your customers, but remember that every organization has its guidelines and rules, so ensure that you do not break those rules in establishing this goodwill. Be sensitive to customers and others. Recognize the different personalities of your customers and respond to the unique needs of each. Different customers, as we noted before, have different needs. We looked at 8 needs. Not all customers will have all 8 needs, but at some time or the other, depending on what they want, they will display that they have those needs. So look at your customer, listen to your customer so that you can know exactly what you need to do to satisfy the need the customer has at that time. Have an interaction that displays genuine concern. So don't fake it. There's no need to fake it. Put yourself in the customer's position and ask yourself, if I were in this position, what exactly would I want from the organization? Be articulate and easy to understand. Don't mumble, don't babble. Do not rush the customer when you are trying to serve the customer. Ensure that you speak at a pace that will allow the customer to understand exactly what you are saying and be able to make their decisions in a timely manner. Let's review. Do you remember? Who is a customer? Now, a customer is any person or organization that uses the services and products of an organization. What's the difference between the internal and external customer? The internal customers are all the individuals who work with the organization. Those are your internal customers. And the external customer are all the persons outside of the organization that use the products and services. External customers can be individuals, groups, or even other companies. What is a customer service policy? The policy is a document that outlines who your customers are, what your customers need, and then put systems in place to ensure that the needs of the customers are met. Policy also ensures that customers are served in the same way consistently in all different locations. Okay, so customer service policies, as I said before, the policy tells us exactly who the consumers are of our products and services, and they tell us what the audience wants in terms of customer service. The policy will establish some customer-focused cultures, and they will instill internal and external strategies for superior customer service. So the policy is actually what guides customer service for all the members of the organization. What are the benefits of customer service policy? There are actually many benefits. Because of the customer service policy allows the organization to be very organized in the way it treats and deals with its customers, it actually results in increase in the number of customers. It also promotes high staff morale. It results in low staff turnover. There's a dynamic management team, quality staff. There's always up-to-date information on customers for the staff and also up-to-date information on the staff as well. More profit is generated not only from existing customers but from new customers because the policy will guide the way systems are implemented in the organization. And the policy will also have systems in place that recognizes our customers. So loyal customers will normally end up spreading the good news about your company. And of course, they in turn will recruit other customers to the organization. And the customer service policy also ensures that things are done right, not just the first time, but every time. The policy ensures that there's a proactive approach to customer contact. When something is wrong, the policy ensures that recovery time is short. It ensures that there's consistency in the availability of the products and services. So there are in fact many benefits to having a customer service policy. It guides everything that is done in the organization in terms of customer service, customer needs, employee behaviors, and when there are issues, it is a customer service policy that will give the guidelines on how issues are dealt with. So customer service policies, as I said before, they also record a lot of information about the customer. So these are just a few of the pieces of information that it will collect in order to serve the customer better. So they will tell us where the customers are located. The system will tell us what kind of products or services the customers buy. The system will also tell us what's the total spending with the company, what kind of income the consumers have, the age of the consumers, and how often they buy from the company. Now, these may seem to be very simple pieces of information that may not be relevant, but for an organization that is serious about customer service, it is important that they pay attention to these types of information. For example, the location of your customers will influence, for example, your delivery practices, their delivery charges. For example, if your customers are located in a particular area and they do a lot of business with you and you find that you're always charging them a delivery fee, it may be in the benefit of the organization to put something in place so that those customers, because they are regular and loyal customers, they don't pay as much in delivery fees as, say, somebody who's in a closer location to the organization. Kind of products and services that the customer buy will also be an important piece of information. If the organization checks and realizes that customers are more inclined to use certain products or services, then it may be in the company's best interest to remove some products and services or to lower the production of those services and products and pay more attention to the products and services that the customers want. Also, how much money is spent by a company is important, their income and their age. So different age groups in our customers will influence the different type of services and the different types of products that these persons will want from the organization. A person who is 55 will not necessarily want to use products that a person who's 12 years old use. So age is a very important piece of information for the company to gather. How often a person purchases items from the customer is also another important piece of information. The company may want to know also the total amount of business they do with the company or with their clients, the type of business that the clients are in, the decision makers in the business, and of course, contact information, the telephone numbers of the organization, their email, fax number, website, social media, etc. These are all pieces of information that are very important. Customers who require the most and the least, as well as follow-up. So different customers will have different requirements based on how they do business with the organization. So looking at the type of business that a customer has. For example, if a client is usually ordering a certain type of product or a certain types of categories of services from your organization, and you look at the business that they're operating, you may realize that there are other types of services and other types of products that you can supply to these organizations. Knowing the persons who are the decision makers in the business is also important because these are the persons who you will need to negotiate with when you are selling a product, a product, or trying to get them to use other services that you know to them. Knowing the customers who require the most means that you know when you need to go the extra mile for these clients. The customers who require the least, or maybe there are customers who are not very fussy and or they don't use your products or services very often. And also looking at follow-up. After you have sold the product, after the customer has used the service, what are the things that you can do afterwards to assist the customer? So all the information that are gathered from the customer, they are now used to create what are called customer service procedures based on the policies. So these procedures are routines and detailed steps that the organization uses to deliver customer service. These procedures are there to ensure that complaints and problems are always resolved. These procedures also ensure that teamwork is maintained and to ensure that different staff in all deal with customers in the same way. So if you do business with an organization in one location and you travel and you have to continue to do business with the same organization in a different branch, you should get the same quality of service as when you deal with the former location. The policies are there to create procedures to ensure that there is effective management of the services that you encounter in the workplace. So all things are done in the same way wherever you do business in the organization. And that is what policy is about. Now, what if you have to deal with your customers and the customers have some issues? Right. So as I said before, the customer service policy, it establishes procedures and it creates systems to deal with all the different needs that a customer may have. So there will be systems in place that deal with complaints. There are going to be systems in place that deal with innovation and improvements. So you have a product that you have been selling to your customers for 15 years. So you want to improve it. There's a system in place, some steps that you actually have to do in order to improve those products or services so that you can improve the type of service that you give to your clients. There's a system in place for taking sales orders. There's a system in place for recording transactions. There's a system in place that responds to feedback. So whenever your customer has complaints, or even when your customer is praising the organization, there's a system there as well. There are even systems in place that log conversations and actually plan the actions that should take place after you have those conversations with your customers. So communication is very, very important when we're dealing with our customers. So we are going to be looking at some communication techniques that we use in customer service. So what's communication? We know it's usually a two-way process of sending and receiving messages. It may be giving instructions, sharing information, sharing ideas and thoughts. And we know that communication takes place between two or more persons to create a common understanding. So communication is any process in which people share information and ideas, and it may involve spoken word, written word, body language, personal mannerisms, and style. These are all things that go into the communication process. Now, there are some established things that form the communication process. First, there must be a sender or a communicator. There must be somebody who starts the communication process. Second, there should be a receiver. So you send a message or you communicate something to someone. There must be somebody to receive whatever message you are sending. And of course, there is the message. What exactly are you trying to say? What information are you trying to send when you're communicating? There should be a channel or a medium. How do you send the information that you want to share with the receiver? There's also feedback. So you send some information, you need some response. There should also be feedback. And sometimes there may be some noise or some interference in the communication process. Now here is a little picture of communication. On the left, we have the sender, and on the right, we have the receiver. So the sender initiates the communication. There's a message that is sent, and the receiver sends a feedback. And if you notice, in the communication process, the process is continuous. It goes in a circle, actually. So when dealing with our customers, what are some ways we establish contact with our customers? We use what are called communication channels. We have just 6 here, but it doesn't mean that it's limited only to these 6. So we communicate with our customers face to face. We communicate with our customers by email. We use the telephone. We use the radio. We use the radio for advertisement, for announcements, and we use the television. So we communicate with our customers by face-to-face, through emails, by the telephone, through radio messages, using the television, and social media is now a very popular way of communicating with our customers. So these are just examples of what we call channels of communication. But of course, there are others out there. What are communication skills? Yes, so communication is actually a skill. So we have a few. We have 6 communication skills that are very necessary when we are dealing with our customers. Listening. Listening is actually a skill. Speaking. Speaking is also a communication skill. Questioning. Being able to use the right question at the right time. That's also a skill. Observing body language. That's a skill also. Writing. Another important communication skill, and the ability to read and comprehend. So these are 6 basic communication skills: listening, speaking, questioning, observing body language, writing, and also reading. So in written communication, now when you're dealing with your customers, you will have to do some writing at some point, or maybe writing is a part of your everyday function as a customer service rep. So you should know when to use written communication. As noted here, you use written communication when you want a relatively permanent formal record, whenever it is needed. So there are some things that some information that you will need to pass on to your customers that it is not appropriate to do so by phone. It is not appropriate to do so by face-to-face communication. You may say it to the customers, but it may be necessary for you to actually have a record of the information in writing. You also decide if you're going to use written communication based on the speed in which the recipient needs to see the information. So if it's something that is instant, more than likely you're going to be sending an email. As against something that they can wait a day or two, then you can choose another option. When choosing your written communication or when you're creating your written communication, it is important to use the 5 C's. These are: be clear, be concise, be correct, be courteous, and be complete in the way that you do your written communication. Some examples of written communications are fax messages, interview notes, discussion plans, reports, emails, posters, leaflets, intranets, and minutes of a meeting. And in a business organization, these are just a few. There are many, many forms of written communication in an organization. But when you have to write, please remember to use the 5 C's. Be clear, be concise, make sure the information is correct, make sure your tone is courteous, and ensure that what you have produced is actually complete. Oral communication, this is when we actually speak. There are 2 basic components of oral communication, which is the what you say and the how you say it. So what you say is related to the content, the skill in organizing your thoughts and ideas, and ensure that you structure what you're going to say and put them in sequential orders so that the person, or sequential order, so that the person who is listening to you can actually follow what you're saying very easily. How? How do you say it? This is related to the tone of the message. So the way you use your voice to promote successful delivery of information is important. So when you're speaking, you have to be careful of what you say, and you have to be careful of how you say it. Now, we looked at writing, written communication, we looked at oral communication. Now we're going to look at nonverbal communication. So these are the forms of communication where you don't write and you may not speak. So some nonverbal communication are your body language. How do you use your body to communicate with your client? The next one is voice. The quality of your voice, the tone of your voice, the volume at which you speak. Do you speak very loudly or very softly, or do you modulate your tone while you're speaking, modulate your volume up and down, as needed when you're speaking to your client. Space. How close do you get to your customer? Or how far away do you stand from others when communicating with them? These are things that influence the communication process, and these are things that you need to pay attention to. Some other nonverbal communication. These are your physical characteristics and appearances. So body size, hairstyle, clothes. So a person is very tall. Persons may respond to them a certain way. A person is very short. A person is very stylishly dressed. A person who's very casually dressed. These are all things that affect the way we relate to persons when we speak, as well as how our own physical characteristics and appearance affect how people think about us when we deal with them. Another one is posture. Your posture indicates your feelings, your attitude, and whether you have a open posture or a closed posture. So a person who folds his arms a lot is said to have a closed posture, as against a person who doesn't fold his arm and his body is relaxed. They are said to have a open posture. Another form of communication that's nonverbal is the use of symbols. In Jamaica, we have many types of symbols. For example, a thumbs up or a thumbs down. All these things indicate things that are put positive or negative. So we have to be careful about the way we use these nonverbal communications. Another important part of communication is our questioning technique. So we're going to look at the different types of questions now. So the first one is open-ended question. What's an open-ended question? When do we use them? So we use open-ended questions when we want to give our customers an opportunity to provide detailed information that will help to solve a problem or will help to identify the cause of a problem or even help us to understand better the needs of the customer. So for open-ended question, there are some ways that we usually start it. So our open-ended questions usually start with how, why, when, and where. How would you like your coffee? When would you like your furniture to be delivered? These are the usual ways that we start open-ended questions. So remember, open-ended questions allow the customer to give us some additional details so that we can assist them. Another type of questioning technique is the opposite of open-ended. This is closed-ended questions. And these types of questions are used to gain agreement or commitment. And they allow the customers or they kind of nudge the customers to give limited information. And so our closed-ended questions will start with do, is, can, will, or would. And of course, there are other ways, but these are the most common ones. And so what happens is that the responses to closed-ended questions are usually very limited. So the person will answer yes, no, maybe, sometimes, often, or some other response, but they will not be giving you a lot of details, right? Is this size of pair of shoes more satisfactory? Yes, no. Would you like me to deliver your furniture on Saturday? Yes, no. So close-ended questions is used to gain agreement or commitment, and they evoke limited information from your clients. There are some other categories of questions as well. For example, there's a probing question. And we use probing questions when you need to guide a client, or when you need to discuss matters further, or when you really, really need to drill below the surface. So the probing questions will discuss the where something happened, when, and how of a situation. So if the customer comes with a complaint and you really want to get to the bottom of the problem, you use probing questions. Also, we use factual questions. We use this when we need to get to know the who, why, when of a situation. So the customer calls with a complaint and you want to actually get the facts of what really happened. You will utilize your factual questions. Another category of questions is the reflective questions. You use them when there's a need to both give a feedback and to urge your client to offer more information. You also use it to indicate understanding of what the client is saying. So there are some times when you have to repeat, or you have to clarify, or you have to ask questions that force or nudge your customers to really think about what they're saying so they can be more clear in their explanation. Those are reflective questions. Another type of questioning technique is using hypothetical questions, right? So these are used to test your supposition or suppose, and they're an excellent way for you and your client to explore the maybe of a situation. So if you bought a computer, would that give you more time at home instead of traveling to the library, for example? That's a sample question. So an hypothetical question forces your listener to think about the maybe of a situation. Now, in speaking to your clients, you have to make use of what is called active listening. Yes. So active listening is where you and your senses are engaged in the conversation you're having with your clients. So we have a definition here, and it says, it's the skill of interpreting the meaning behind what you hear. And it requires concentration and practice and relies on 4 of our senses. So the seeing, the smelling, the touching, and the hearing. So active listening is very important because you want to ensure that you're giving the customer the type of attention that you should so that you can deal with their situation. So in active listening, you focus on what is being said by the other person. You maintain eye contact with your client. You ask appropriate questions to confirm and also to clarify understanding. Active listening also uses nonverbal cues. For example, somebody may be giving an explanation, but if you notice the facial expression is saying something very different from the words that are coming out of the person's mouth. Also, you use audible affirmation. In other words, when your clients are speaking to you, don't just stand there looking like a rock. You need to also respond to the person. Nonverbal cues will be nodding or shaking your head, but giving audible affirmation, you use words. Oh, I see what you're saying, Mr. Brown. Okay, I understand. Right, so you use words to show the customer that you are following the conversation. In the active listening, also restate the information to show that you are listening and that you understand. So active listening is you being involved actively in the conversation that is taking place. Okay, so the communication process is very important when we're dealing with clients. Communication skills are also important. Questioning techniques are important, and the listening skills are also important when we are communicating with our clients. So let's do a little review. Do you remember? In your own words, can you tell us what is communication? Okay, so we know that communication is usually a two-way process of sharing information and ideas. Yes. So we have a sender, a receiver, we have a message. What are some channels of communication? How do we communicate with our customers and clients? Okay, so some channels are face-to-face conversation. We send emails to our clients. We use the television. We use social media. We use the radio, and okay. Number 3, what are the most popular communication skills? We looked at 6. Do you remember? Okay, so communication skills are listening, speaking, questioning, observing body language, writing, and reading. Listening, speaking, questioning, observing body language, writing, and reading. Next question. What are the 5 C's of written communication? Do you remember? Okay, our written communication should be clear, concise, correct, courteous, and complete. The 5 C's of written communication. We looked at questioning techniques. What are some of the major questioning techniques? Do you recall? We have open-ended questions. We have close-ended questions. We have probing questions, factual questions, reflective questions, and we have hypothetical questions. Okay, good. So I hope you were able to answer some of those questions on your own. Now, how do we respond effectively to customers' needs, their expectations, and even their complaints? So, customer comes in, or customer calls, or customer speaks to us on our online system. First, we should identify what the customer's expectations are. So, first, look for some obvious clues. Listen carefully to what the customer is saying. Ask appropriate questions and confirm your own understanding, because you don't want to make any assumptions about what the customer needs. So remember that we looked at the 8 basic needs of the customers. Here at the bottom of the screen, we have listed them again so that you can remember. Customer needs to feel welcome, to be understood, to be recognized, to feel important, to receive help or assistance. The customer needs timely service. The customer needs to feel comfortable in his surroundings, and the customer also needs to be appreciated. So to identify any of these needs in our customers, we should look for the clues. Listen very carefully to what the customer is saying. Ask the appropriate customers and ensure that you confirm your own understanding before you give the customers the service that they're asking for. There are some signals about customers that will be communicated to us, and these signals will help us in the way that we deal with the customers, the way we speak to the customers, and the type of service that we give to the customer. So a customer's age, a customer who's old, as against a customer who's young, especially very young, will decide how we give service to that customer. the type of clothing the customer wear. If the customer are very high fashion, is the customer out of fashion? Is the clothes, are the clothes that they wear worn out? No, saying the clothes is worn out doesn't mean that we're going to be giving less quality service to this type of customer. No, but these are just some little clues that will help us when we're dealing with the customer. Look at the verbal ability of the customer. Is the customer able to fluently explain what he's about? Or is the customer barely fluent? Is that you need to ask the customers additional questions or get more information from the customer so that you can serve him better? Look at the customer's attitude. Is the customer very positive and upbeat? Is the customer very negative and grumpy? So these things will also help you in dealing with the customer. These are signals that you have to pay attention to. Is the customer demanding and angry? Now remember those communication skills. Let's look at how well you listen. So the customer comes in and the customer has some complaint or has something that they need to be dealt with, maybe with some urgency. The customer is upset. What do you do? Okay, we have some advice. Avoid doing most of the talking yourself. Give the customer an opportunity to speak, especially if the customer is very upset. You allow the customer to vent. Allow the customer to say what he has to say so that he can feel that you are giving him a listening ear. Pay attention. Focus your attention on the customer. Show some interest. Be interested in what the customer says. Make sure you have a sincere desire to know what the customer is feeling and to understand what the customer is saying. Be patient. Don't interrupt. As I said in the outset, give the customer an opportunity to speak so that the customer can vent. Keep the customer in mind. So when you are going to deal with the customer's issue, whether it's a complaint or just a regular request, please ensure that you make sure that you are dealing with what the customer actually needs. Put away your biases so that you can deal with the actual needs of the customer, not what you think the customer needs. Ensure that you stay focused. Don't interrupt. Let the customer finish what he's saying before you begin. Pay attention to the customer's tone of voice. Remember, we talked about those signals. If he's angry, if he's grumpy, his body language. Sometimes the way the customer says something is even more important than what he actually says. So listen to the tone of voice of the customer. Ensure that you never lose your temper. And don't show any signs of being upset by what the customer is saying. Remember, the customer is more than likely upset with the situation, not with you. So ensure that you listen to the customer with an open mind. So after the customer has stated what issues are, ensure that you summarize. And don't summarize what you think he said, and summarize exactly what the customer needs so that you remember that active listening. Yes, you have to pay attention. So after the customer is finished, you summarize because you don't want to be going back and forth with the customer, because if you only catch part of the issue and you have to come back and ask customers more questions, they may end up being upset. So summarize so that you understand the full story, the whole story. Ask questions, yes. So ask questions so that you can aid your own understanding and you can actually identify what is it that the customer needs assistance with. So listen, don't lose your temper, ask proper questions, make a summary of what the customer said so that he knows that you're following the story. So let's do a little bit of a situation analysis. So on your left, we have 5 common situations. And on the right, we have some anticipated needs and some suggestions on how to deal with these situations. So number one, a customer has waited longer than normal for service. What do you do? On the right, it says, greet the customer with a warm smile, verbally recognize that the customer had to wait an extended time, and show appreciation for the customer having had to wait, right? Let the customer know that you appreciate that he actually waited and you know that he had to wait for a long time, and then give speedy service. Number two, you're speaking to the customer and you notice that the customer keeps looking at his watch. What's the situation? Maybe the person has to catch another appointment. So what do? Recognize this need and provide timely service so that the customer can move on to whatever else he has to do. And maybe you can offer to call the customer or do some actions afterwards that will assist the customer in getting whatever else he has to do. Number three, a female guest with 3 small children approaches your service area. What do? You may provide some items to occupy the children while they wait. This will give the guest time to deal with the service that she has come to get from you. So this is being sensitive to the need of the customer. Number 4, the lines for your service area, they form very early in the day. What do? Ensure that you have appropriate supplies and equipment on hand, and also ensure that there are enough people to meet the needs or the demands of these lines. And number 5, finally, there are well-defined busy periods in your workday. You notice, for example, that at say 11 to 2 in the afternoon is your busiest time. Or you notice that on a Friday is your busiest time. What do? Prepare yourself mentally and physically, and don't be caught off guard. And make sure that you have enough supplies with you so that when you have these busy periods, you are able to comfortably deal with the crowd or deal with the rush. So a customer comes in with a complaint. What do? First, you must acknowledge the complaint. Recognize that there is in fact an issue. Then offer an apology for the inconvenience that the customer has suffered. Then promptly pay attention to the situation. In your mind, think of the questions that you know you need to ask the customer in order to get to the meat of the matter so that you can help. Whatever the complaint is, investigate the complaint. Find out the details of the complaint. Then identify the problem so that you know exactly what it is they're there to resolve. So let's go again. Customer complaints, acknowledge the complaint. Don't pretend that there isn't a problem. Give an apology, be prompt in giving attention, ask the appropriate questions, investigate the complaints, find what problem that there is to resolve, and proceed to solve this problem. Now, the customer has come in and complained, and you're now in the process of dealing with this complaint. It is important that you keep the customer informed and reassured, especially if the customer has to leave the location, goes to another location, and you promise to make phone calls or to send communication. It makes a powerful impression that you, the service provider, and your company are on the ball. It also ensures that the customer feels valued as an individual, and it makes the customer feel liked. It also makes him feel respected and appreciated. So ensure that whatever issue you're dealing with the customer, keep the customer informed. Give the customer reassurance that the problem is being dealt with so that you can give a positive impression of your organization. So you will be required to sell or promote products and services as a customer service representative. So let's look at things you need to bear in mind when you're promoting services and products of your organization. So a product or a service is everything favorable and unfavorable that a person receives in an exchange. Yes. So your company may offer a product or a set of products or a set of services. Products are tangible goods that can be seen and touched. A service is an intangible good that you can't see, but you can experience it. Products have features, and these are characteristics of your product that describes its appearance, components, and capabilities. Products also have benefits, and the benefits are the end results of what a product can actually accomplish for the customer. So the features are what you see and you can touch, and the benefits are what you experience while you use the products or services. Now, many organizations use branding. Yes, because branding is a surefire way of establishing itself as a leader in the industry. So in most cases, the product or service is given a brand name. And a brand name is usually, a brand is usually a name or some term, a symbol or design, or a combination of these things that identifies a seller's products. And the brand differentiates itself from the competitor's product. So for example, we know General Motors, we know KFC, we know Nike, and we know Nike has an actual symbol. So sometimes the brand is a symbol, and just by seeing the symbol, we know exactly what organization, what company, and what brand it is. What are the features of a good brand name? Companies use branding because it's very convenient. So a brand name is usually easy to pronounce, it's easy to recognize, it's easy to remember, it's usually concise or brief in title, and it usually has a distinctive or unique feature. It describes the product, and it also describes the product's use. And usually a brand name has a positive connotation. In other words, when you see the brand or the brand name, it usually causes you to have a positive response. Now, in marketing the brand or the products or services, organizations use what is called a marketing mix. The marketing mix has 4 P's. The 4 P's are the product, the place, the price, and the promotion. So when an organization creates a product, there are some stages or there are some things they put into marketing this product. So product. What products to make and sell? What are you selling exactly? The place. Where do you sell the products? The price. How much your product is going to cost? The promotion. Are you going to use advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, and publicity? So when an organization is going to market its product, these are the 4 basic things that they must bear in mind. So remember now, these are the 4 P's. Don't forget them. And the P's stand for the product you're going to sell, the place you're going to sell them at, what price you're going to sell them at, and the promotion. Product, place, price, and promotion. So when an organization promotes its products and services, usually they get feedback about their services from their customers. And there are several ways that we can get feedback from the customers. We have a list here. We can use customer satisfaction questionnaires. We can do audit documentation and reports. We can use quality assurance data. We can use even simple things like return goods. When the customers return goods, we need to also record these things. Lapsed clients, clients who no longer order from us. Why are they not ordering from us? Where are they? What's going on? Why they're no longer doing business with us? You can do service calls. You actually pick up the phone and you call your clients and ask them questions about the product or service they have experienced and to get their opinion of them. You also get feedback from complaints. Complaints are a very special type of feedback and they're very, very important for establishing things that you have to do to make corrections. It is very, very important that an organization never ignore complaints that are made by customers. Another source of feedback are repeat customers. Yes, so why are they coming back? In the same way you want to find out why some customers have lapsed, why they are no longer using your products and services, you also want to ensure that you know what it is about your organization, what it is about your products and your services, why you also need to know these things from your repeat customers. So remember we had the 4 P's. We're going to look at promotional activities. Why do we need to do promotions? Why does an organization need to do promotions? So, as a customer service rep, you will be expected to assist in the promotions of the organization's products and services. Let's take a brief look at promotional activities. Why does a company promote its products and its services? Well, promotion is the main way to inform your customers about the products and services because you want them to actually come and buy into it. You want your clients to come and use your products and to use your services as well. So it is necessary for you to have promotional activities. And as a customer service representative, you will have a role to play when these activities are being carried out. So there are some specific reasons for actually having promotion. Let's look at a few of them. Promotion is usually done when the organization has a new product or the organization has new services that they want to offer to clients. It could be that they want to offer these services to their old clients or they want to offer these services to new clients. So when something new comes out, promotion is done. Promotion is also carried out from customers' request. So customers, after experiencing your products and services, they may make special requests. And if you see a trend that's happening among your customers where persons are inquiring or making queries, similar queries, then it means that the organization needs to take note of these things so that they can infuse these requests into their products and services. And so when they do that, then of course they have to promote the changes that the customers request. Promotion is done also based on seasonal trends and demands. For example, in Jamaica, we used to have this Course Madness sale. So we have certain seasons that will see certain types of promotions being done. And some very common ones. We have Christmas, we have Valentine's, we have Easter, we have summer, right? So based on the seasons, we will see different types of promotions being done. Another reason for promotion is when there's a special price on the products that has been negotiated with the supplier. So what if after doing business with a supplier, you realize that or the supplier decides that he's going to pass on some of his goodwill to you. So because he's no longer required to pay X amount for the raw materials that you need, he passes this on to you. So you, meanwhile, can pass on this benefit to your customers. And so maybe it's for a living or maybe it's for an extended time. So you have some special prices on your products and services. So you promote it so that your customers can maximize the advantage of having these special prices. Sometimes promotions are done because sales are poor. Maybe retraining of the staff has to be done. Maybe looking at the organization, looking at the products, you realize that there are certain products that are not moving as fast as they usually do, or certain services. You look at the sales and you want to improve the sales, so you do some promotional activities to improve the sales of these items. Sometimes promotion is done because we have more staff in the service area to deal with higher productivity. So you made some changes and you hired more people, more skilled persons. So you realize now that you can deal with a heavier influx of clients. So because you have people to deal with the clients, then you go ahead and you do your promotions to improve your sales. Sometimes promotions are done because you want to match your competitors' offers. Yes, or to stay with your competitors' offers. So you realize that your competitor is offering some service or some product at a certain standard, and you want to ensure that you are competitive. So you would decide that you're going to do some promotional activities. What are some activities that you can do during a promotion? You have media announcements, you can have employee functions, you can have client functions, you can have product launches, you can do advertisements, or you create web pages. So these are all ways that you can promote your products and your services, and these are only a few. Okay, let's check if you remember. Do you remember? Do you remember? What is a product? Okay, let's go back. What is a product? What's a service? Now we said that products and services are everything that's favorable and unfavorable that a person receives in an exchange. But a product itself is a tangible good that is sold to customers, while a service is an intangible good that a customer is not able to see or touch, but they can enjoy. What are the features of a product or service? Product features are the characteristics of your product that describes its appearance, things that make up its components, and its capabilities. What are the characteristics of a product or service? These are all the things that go into making the products and services. Now, in the market mix, we said that there are 4 P's. Do you remember what the 4 P's are? Product, place, price, and promotion. So in the market mix, the 4Ps are very important. What is the product that you're going to be selling? What's the place you're going to be selling it in? And what's the price? And what kind of promotion are you going to have in place to sell your product? Now, in addition to your role as a customer service representative and the things that you will be required to do, we also have to consider the issue of stress. Yes, things that stress you in your life and some ways to cope with these stresses. So let's take some time out to look at stress management. My pointer. What exactly is stress? What is it? Is there any one definition for stress? Okay, so on the screen I have this cat, and without a doubt, looking at the cat, you can see the cat is stressed. So what exactly is stress? Now this definition takes it kind of lightly, but let's look at it anyway. It says stress is the confusion created when one's mind overrides the body's basic desire to choke the living daylights out of somebody who desperately needs it. Okay, so stress gives you a sense of frustration. But on a more serious note, we know that stress is the inability to deal with the things around us, whether it be in our work life, in our personal life. Stress is the inability to cope with the demands of the things that are in our lives. Now, how do you know that you are experiencing stress? How do you know? So stress can affect us in some adverse ways, in some very serious ways. But sometimes stress can cause us to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but not very seriously. So here are some stress symptoms that we want to look at. So one, the inability to sleep. Do you find that sometimes when you go to bed, you're unable to fall asleep at the time when you regularly do so? Or you go to bed, you fall asleep, and you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night or several times during the night. It means that you are losing sleep. This may be a sign of stress. Next symptom, unusual irritability. So things that never bothered you before, suddenly they annoy you very much. You become very irritable at the slightest thing that happens. This may be that you're suffering from some stressful situations. Another symptom, sharing with friends and family. Do you find yourself being very argumentative, even with persons who you normally have good relationships with? You find that you have suddenly become very short-tempered. Another symptom of stress, depression. Yes, you're unable to cope. You're very sad over a long period of times. This is also another symptom of stress. Sweaty palms. Whenever you are called upon to do things that maybe normal everyday things, you find that your palms are sweating, or even your entire body starts to sweat. This is another sign of stress. Increase or loss in appetite. You may find that you're eating a lot more than you're used to, or you're not eating as much as you're used to. Maybe you would normally eat 3 or 4 meals per day. Maybe you go through the entire day and forget that you haven't eaten, or you eat once per day and maybe you even eat less than you usually do. Another symptom, the desire to drink or to smoke. Maybe ordinarily you may drink or smoke casually, but with the increasing demands in your life, in some aspect of your life, you may realize that you're drinking more or smoking more. This also could be a sign of stress. Becoming very negative in your attitude, not very sunshiny at all, grumpy, looking at the more negative side of things. This is also a sign of stress. So let's go through them again. What are some simple symptoms of stress? Inability to sleep, unusual irritability, bickering with friends and family, depression, sweaty palms, an increase in appetite or a loss in appetite, the desire to drink or the desire to smoke more, having a very negative attitude. These are all symptoms that you may be experiencing stress. Now, stress can affect your body in so many ways, as we saw before. But did you know that there are actually two types of stress? Yes, there's good stress and there is also bad stress. Good stress is called eustress and bad stress is called distress. We're very familiar with distress, but not very many persons know that eustress exists. So eustress is that stress that actually pump you up, motivates you to do more. There are some persons who say, oh, they work better when things are down to the wire, or they work better with a heavy workload than a load that's very light. So there's actually a form of stress that causes you to perform better. It actually shows the better side of yourself. Okay, so remember now, there are actually two types of stress, good stress and bad stress. So there's eustress, the good one, and distress, the bad one we don't want. Now, what's bugging you? What are the things that causes persons to suffer stress? So I have 3 common areas in our lives that causes stress. The first one is our job. Yes. So sometimes our jobs may become more demanding, and so it causes us to experience higher stress levels than normal. Maybe the company is suffering short staff. Maybe the company has increased its production, but it has not increased the number of persons it employs to deal with the production. And so you may find that you are doing maybe 2 or 3 persons' job. You're holding down 3 positions or 2 positions. This will increase the amount of stress that you experience while on the job. Maybe you have just gotten a new supervisor or a new manager, or you have been transferred to a new location. These are some of the things that may cause us to feel more stress at work. And these are realistic things. Maybe it's a combination of all of these things and even more. So one area in our lives that we may experience stress is in our jobs. Another area we may have stress is in our relationships. So these can be our personal relationships or even our work relationships. Some persons are spouses, some persons are parents, some persons have extended families, some persons have relationships where they're responsible for other persons. They may have increased responsibilities, and so it may cause them to suffer and increase the stress levels in their lives. When you get to be a certain age, you find that your parents have aged, and so you have to do things for your parents that they were able formerly to do for themselves. And so you have to give more time to aging parents than you did before. And it takes more time, it takes more of your resources, and you have to stretch yourself a lot thinner because there are other aspects of your life that you have to deal with. And relationships can stress you. Maybe there are spousal issues. Persons married, persons get divorced, persons are having personal relationships, relationships with their spouses, issues with their spousal relationships, and they may even overflow into their their jobs. Children, taking care of young children, taking care of sick children, taking care of children who are teenagers who are started to act up. These are other things that may cause stress in a person's lives, and these are things that they can't ignore. These are, in fact, things that they must deal with. Another popular area that causes stress is the finances. Yes, so maybe in your job, you decide that you are going to take on some financial responsibility. Maybe you bought a house, maybe you bought a car, maybe you have decided to improve yourself and you're going to study. And so now you have tuition fees that you have to consider. These are things that will affect your finances. As I said before, you may have aging parents. And so now you have to, maybe the parents are pensioners, they are no longer employed. And so you have to spend more on your parents, and it causes your finances to be stretched. Maybe you have children, children who are going to university. Maybe you have taken loans and you're unable to pay these loans. Maybe you changed your job and, well, the job is not paying as much as you want to, or maybe the company has changed and you have lost some of your benefits. And so all of these things come together to affect your finances. So these are three areas where persons will experience some amount of stress. So it can be your job, it can be your relationships, and it can be also your finances. So there's the issue of stress management. How do you manage your stress? Why do you even need to manage your stress? What's the reason for stress management? Can you manage it? Okay, so the goal of stress management is to bring your mind and body back into balance. Yes, so maybe you can't get rid of the stress, but you can organize things in your own life that can help you to deal with the stress levels that you're experiencing. So three basic areas that stress management looks at is adopting a positive attitude, learning healthier ways to cope, change the way you deal with stress. So it is possible for you to reduce the hold that stress has on your life. So very briefly, we're going to talk about 10 easy ways that a person can deal with stress in their own life. So number one, in most cases, when we're experiencing stress, it is a personal experience. In other words, only we know about it. So the first suggestion is to talk about it. You may choose who you're comfortable speaking with about your stress levels. You may not decide to go as far as getting professional help, but at the very least, if you or someone who you know who's experiencing stress, it is important to let them understand that it's important to talk about the stress, the issues that's bothering them. Getting somebody else to deal with stress, to hear your issues, to share your problems with is definitely a way of coping with the issues that are bothering you. Number 2, as the picture suggests, sometimes you need to please yourself. Yes. So before we looked at the fact that relationships affect us and cause us to have higher stress levels because we are responsible for other persons. Sometimes you have to take those moments where you please yourself. Not that you're going to ignore the needs of the persons who depend on you, but you have to take some time to gather yourself. So the second suggestion is please yourself sometimes. Number 3, laugh it off. Humor is said to be the cure for many ills. So find some time to actually see the humor in situation. Don't be so serious all the time. Try to find moments of lightness. So 1, talk about it. 2, please yourself sometimes. And 3, learn to laugh again. Number 4, exercise. Yes. So you may have a very busy schedule, but exercise has been proven to decrease the stress levels of persons. You may choose to do exercise early before your day begins, or you may choose to do exercise late in the evenings or night, right before going to bed. So it is quite possible to use exercise to alleviate some of the stress that you experience. For example, if one of your symptoms of stress is sleeplessness, persons actually suggest that you exercise right before you go to bed because this will assist you in getting a better night's rest. Another suggestion, be firm and say no. If there are many persons who are asking or making suggestions or persons who are asking you to do some things and you find that you really don't have enough time in your day to deal with these issues, so be firm and learn to say no. You are not superhuman. You can't do everything. Number 6, be creative. Yes. Sometimes we're used to doing things in the traditional manner, or we're used to doing things in the way that persons are used to. When you're experiencing extra demands on your life and on your time, then it's okay to try other methods in doing things that you normally do. So be creative. Think of ways that you can actually do the same things, but it's for it to be more convenient to you and to those who you have to interact with. Number 7, get real. Yes, you are not superhuman. You can't do everything. If you set out to accomplish certain goals and you realize that you're not able to do these things, and then when you realize that you can't accomplish these goals, then it means that it's time to reassess the goals and to maybe cut back, delete, or delay some of the things that you want to do. So be realistic. Really look at the things that you're trying to do and assess whether or not they're appropriate for you even. Be realistic. Number 8, plan and prioritize. Yes, to prioritize means to give people things its place of importance, its appropriate place of importance. So you have a lot to do. You have little time to do it. Organize yourself so that you can accomplish all the things that you have on your list in a realistic time. Put things in their rightful place. And when I say things, I mean all the facets of your life, whether personal, professional, put them in their rightful place, give them the time that they deserve, and plan and look at other options of getting these things done. Seek assistance as well. Number 9, think positively. So, that glass of water, some persons say, oh, it is half full, while other persons may say it is half empty. The persons who say it is half full are considered the persons who are more positive. Is positive. The persons who say the glass is half empty are said to be persons who are more negative. Try to be that person who looks at it as it's half full, almost there, in a positive light. And the last suggestion, number 10, be kind to yourself. Yes, find those moments where you can actually take care of yourself. Do something for yourself. If you're always doing for others, find time to actually do some things for your own self, for your own benefit. So those are some ways that can assist us in coping with our different levels of stress, different types of stress that we have. Now, one of the major issues for stress management is time management. Yes. How do you manage your time? How do you ensure that the time that you have is enough to accomplish the things that you need to accomplish? So let's look at some reminders on the time management. So basically, time management is the ability to plan and manage your time to complete tasks that you have set out. So here are some things that you can do. 1, if you're working in an organization, and especially if you're working in a department, you will have persons you have to interact with, depend on, and you have persons who depend on you to carry out tasks, to fulfill the task in a professional environment. You have to think about the goals of the organization and the goals for your own department and things that you have to do, things that you have to accomplish in order to assist the organization in achieving its mandate. So the first thing you need to do is to identify the task to be carried out and create a list. Know exactly what you're required to do, and if it means that you have to actually write them down, then do that. Make a list. Also, if you're in a work environment, you may also want to find out how your tasks are related to other persons, right? And how your task may be affected by other persons, your other team members. So find the task, what material, what equipment do you need in order to carry out these tasks. So understand your task, the different tasks that you have to do before you actually start to do them. And if you have to, make a list, it's not a problem. Then estimate the time that you need to carry out each task. So look at your task, look at how long you think that each task will take, look at the tasks that need to be done one after the other, look at tasks that have to be done concurrently, you have to do them together, and estimate the time that you will need to carry out each of these tasks. Then calculate the total time that you need to carry out all of these tasks, whether in sequential order, one after another, or if tasks are running together concurrently. Compare your available time to the time that's required for completion. So you have these deadlines to meet, you have a set of tasks that you have to carry out. Look at the actual time that you have available and look at the number of tasks that you have to do within that time. Identify all commitments that will affect the task. So in any job situation, you're going to have major tasks that you have to do, and then you're going to have some things that are support tasks or minor tasks. You're going to have some tasks that are regular, things you have to do daily, things you have to do weekly, things you have to do monthly. And so you may not do the same task every day or every week, or you have your major tasks, but those major tasks are also affected by other commitments that you have to get done. So look at how other things that you have commitments to will affect you accomplishing these tasks. Next step, prioritize the task by importance source. So what is the priority? What exactly is the most important thing that you need to accomplish? What's the most important things? So look at the things that need to be done now. Look at the things that can be done a little later, and look at the things that you can put off to other days or even later on in the week. Then after you understand what you have to do, you understand the time that's allotted to do them, and you understand the importance of each task, you are going to create what is called a personal action plan. Yes, and this is something you need to actually write down. So in the personal action plan, you are going to look at the tasks that you're going to do, look at the things you need to accomplish each task, look at the time that you have set out for them, and you will start to plan and check off. So you can actually put a checklist as a part of your action plan. So as soon as you accomplish them, you check them off. Next step, while you're doing this, you also need to review and modify your plans. What if you made some plans to accomplish some tasks and something happens in the organization, some emergency comes up or some additional requirements are made of your department, and you now have to put some of these tasks aside and deal with the things that have come to light. So review and modify your action plan as needed, still bearing in mind what is priority. The other thing now is that after you've done that, you can continue to work on your task. But time management is to ensure that you plan and you manage all these tasks so that you can accomplish them. So let's review. What are some things that are involved in time management? 1, identify the tasks to be carried out and create a list. Estimate the time needed to carry out each task. Calculate the total time for all the tasks that you have on hand, and then compare the required time to the time that you actually have available. And look at completion time to see if you're really able to accomplish all these tasks within the given time. Identify other commitments that will affect the task. Prioritize the task by importance. Put the things that are important first, put them in the correct order. Create a personal action plan. View and modify your plan as needed. And of course, work on your task. So these are some basics of time management, and time management is a very important thing to help you with coping with stress. Not only stress related to your job, but stress related to your personal relationships as well, commitments that you have to keep. Okay, so I think that we have covered it all, basically. So do you remember? Remember, let's review. Do you remember? What is stress? What is stress? Remember the cat? So, generally speaking, stress is the inability to deal with pressures in various situations. And of course, there are other acceptable definitions. What are some causes of stress? We looked at 3 areas where persons experience stress, 3 popular areas. Right? So we know that we have stress that's related to our jobs. We have stress that is related to our relationships, personal relationships and otherwise. We have stress that's related to our finances, right? So those are the 3 areas. Okay, so we know that there's good stress and there's bad stress. What is good stress called? Do you remember? Okay, so good stress is called eustress. Yes, it's the stress that motivates us to act, the one that pumps you up, the adrenaline that makes you actually get things done, even under hard circumstances. So that's eustress, the good stress. What is bad stress called? Okay, so bad stress is distress. That's the one that we don't want to experience. This is the one that causes us to crumble, can't cope. What are some things you can do to cope with stress? We looked at 10, but I'm going to just mention a few. Talk about it. Share your experience with somebody. Take time out for yourself. Plan and prioritize well. And learn to think positively. Instead of saying the glass is half empty, let's start to look at it as being half full. What is the importance of time management? Time management is important because it allows us to prepare well for tasks and to carry them out professionally. Good. Okay, so those are some things that we need to remember about stress, coping with stress, and time management. Okay, so I'm going to run through our review questions very briefly, just as a reminder of the topics that we have covered under customer service. And because it has been such a long discourse, so that you can just review some of the things that we looked at. So we looked at these questions before, but I just want to run through them once more because we covered quite a lot. Okay. So do you remember who's a customer? Okay, so we know that a customer is a person or business that uses a company's products and services. Yes. Do you remember what's the difference between an internal and external customer? Okay, so the internal customer is everybody who works in your organization. Yes, so remember that you have different departments, you have different locations, and you have to work with all these persons, whether directly or indirectly. So those are our internal customers. Our external customers are all the persons or organizations outside of the organization, outside of the company that uses products and services of the company. So external customers can be an individual, they can be a group, or they can be another organization. What is a customer service policy? So the customer service policy is the document that identifies the organization's client, establishes a culture in the organization to satisfy the customers, and it is used to put systems and procedures in place to deal with the needs of the clients. So whether these needs might be positive or negative, we utilize the organizational policy to establish. Do you remember? What is communication? Okay, so it's a two-way process of sharing information and ideas. What are some channels of communication? We have face-to-face, we have email, we have telephone, social media, radio, and television. These are all the ways that we communicate with our clients. What are communication skills? We have 6 of them. Listening is a skill. Speaking, questioning, observing body language, writing is a skill, and even reading is a communication skill. What are the 5 C's of written communication? All written communication must be clear, must be concise, they must be correct, they must be courteous in their tone, and they must be complete. What are the major questioning techniques? Remember them? We use open-ended questions, close-ended questions. We have probing questions and factual questions, reflective and hypothetical questions. Now we looked at promoting products and services. What's a product or a service? We said that it's everything that is favorable and unfavorable that a person receives in exchange. Yes, so even we can say unfavorable, whatever it is. We have good products, we have bad products. We have good service, we have bad service. A product is a tangible good that you can actually see and touch that is sold to customers, while a service is intangible. We can't see it, we can't touch it, but we can experience it. What are the features of a product? The features are the characteristics of your product that you use to describe its appearance, its components, and capabilities. We looked at marketing and promotion, and we say that in promotion, companies use something called a marketing mix, or the 4 Ps of the marketing mix. And these 4 Ps are product, place, price, and promotion. And our final area is stress. Do you remember? What is stress? Remember the cat? So stress is the inability to deal with pressures in various situations. What are some causes of stress? There are issues in our job, financial issues, or relationship issues. All of these things that can cause us stress. What is good stress called? It's called eustress. What is bad stress called? It's called distress. What are some ways we can cope with stress? We can talk about it. We can take some time out for ourselves. We can plan and prioritize well the things we have to do, and we can think more positively. What is the importance of time management? It's important because it allows you to prepare well for tasks and carry them out professionally. Okay, so that is all from me in customer service. Please watch or rewatch as needed the presentations, take notes as needed to remind yourselves of the different areas that we looked at today. And so it was nice having you, and I want to say bye-bye.